What if Lucifer never fell? Who is he, the most beautiful of angels, luminous and proud, who rebelled against the Creator, defeated in a celestial war, cast into the abyss? For 2,000 years, this image, a symbol of absolute evil, downfall, and eternal rebellion, has sown fear in the hearts of millions. John Milton's Paradise Lost, the film Constantine, the series Lucifer, they all show the same thing: a fallen angel, an eternal rebel. But what if this story never happened? What if Lucifer, as we imagine him, never fell from heaven, because this fall is not a fixed event of ancient revelation, but merely the result of centuries of reading, reinterpretation, and gradual layering of meanings? What if there was no single moment of rebellion, no war of angels, no scene where a luminous being transforms into absolute evil, but only a text, complex, poetic, multifaceted, which over time stopped being read as text and began to be perceived as biography? We will not destroy faith. We will simply rewind the tape and see how an image was assembled from scattered words, how a political pamphlet turned into biography, how a forgotten manuscript became an instruction manual for the universe. If you open the biblical books, temporarily setting aside the familiar mythological narrative, a strange picture emerges. Lucifer never appears as a complete character. He has no scene of creation, like Adam. No described fall, like Cain. No moment of judgment, like Sodom. There are only scattered lines, metaphors, and images that over time stopped being perceived as language and began to be perceived as essence. Have you ever wondered why the Bible contains no complete biography of this greatest villain? Why doesn't he stand alongside Satan from the Book of Job, or the serpent from Eden as a unified character? Today we will walk this path in reverse, from finished myth back to text, from image to word, to see how the most terrifying symbol in the history of Western religious imagination was assembled and solidified. One line changed everything. Here it is, the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 12. How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. In the Hebrew original, Hillel ben Shahar, shining one, son of dawn. This is an established poetic metaphor, the image of the morning star, Venus, which burns brightly before dawn and inevitably disappears with sunrise. Imagine ancient Babylon, 6th century BCE, an empire at the peak of its power, a king, possibly Nebuchadnezzar, who thought himself a deity. Isaiah writes biting satire. You thought you'd rise above the stars. Now you're in the underworld, like a fallen star. This is the language of political mockery, not cosmology. The language of a poet, mocking an earthly tyrant. But here is the first fundamental shift. In the historical critical tradition, this passage is mockery of the king of Babylon, whose pride and claims to divinity became the object of poetic derision. But in the 4th century Latin Vulgate, created by Saint Jerome, this word was translated as Lucifer, meaning light bearer. At that moment, a poetic epithet is fixed in sacred text, and something subtle happens. Language transforms image into essence. Metaphor becomes a name. Name becomes a person. And at this moment, something irreversible happens to human consciousness. A word becomes a curse, a metaphor becomes a demon, and poetic mockery of a king becomes a cosmic catastrophe that supposedly occurred before the creation of Adam. One translation, one word, one interpretation, and the world would never be the same. A poet mocks a king. A translator seeks a beautiful word. A theologian reads and sees cosmic drama. This is how myths are born, not from revelation, but from reading. But this is only the first layer. The book of the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 28. This is a lament over the king of Tyre, a powerful Phoenician ruler. The language here is so elevated, so mythological, that it's easy to take it for something greater. He is called an anointed cherub. It says he was in Eden, the garden of God, and that he was cast down because of his wickedness. Historians are unanimous. This is about a man, an earthly king whose wealth and arrogance became proverbial. But the text is like a half-open door. The language is so strange that even scholars debate, is this metaphor or not? It creates space for a question. What if this isn't about a man? What if these words describe the fall of someone immeasurably greater? Why such elevated imagery, Eden cherub casting down for a simple king? It's reminiscent of Greek titans or Sumerian gods falling because of pride. And this door swung open thanks to a book that isn't in modern Bibles, but was known and read by many early Christians. Thanks to the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch, an apocrypha not included in the canon of most churches, but its influence is enormous. It survives in the Ethiopian canon. Fragments were found in the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran. Early Christians, including the Apostle Jude, cited it as authority. In it appears a plot absent from the canon, the story of the Watchers. These are angels, higher beings, assigned to watch over humanity. But they violated the prohibition. Mount Hermon. 200 angels stand in a circle. They speak each other's names. They swear not to retreat. And heaven is silent. God does not stop them. They descended to earth, specifically to the summit of Mount Hermon in the days of Jared, and took human daughters as wives. The Watchers give humans what the gods kept for themselves: how to make weapons from metal, how to control the stars, how to see the future, how to heal and poison. This isn't just sin. This is a technology transfer from the world of gods to the world of humans. Prometheus multiplied by 200, and the consequences are apocalyptic. From these unions were born the Nephilim, giants who filled the earth with violence, devouring humans and each other. Here is the key turning point. In the Book of Enoch, evil enters the world not from below, from humans, but from above, from the rebellion of celestial beings, from the violation of divine order. The leaders, Semyaza and Azazel. And here's what's strange. The name Lucifer is not in the Book of Enoch, not in the original Isaiah, not even in the Greek translation. This name appears in the 4th century Latin Bible, and only then, centuries later, sticks to a figure assembled from 3 different texts. The most famous fallen angel in history bears a name born from the natural evolution of text. Jerome simply chose a beautiful Latin word for a poetic metaphor. This wasn't an error. This was a translator's choice, who could not foresee how centuries later theological tradition would transform an epithet into a proper name. The early church reads Enoch. The Epistle of Jude cites it as authority, and in the minds of theologians, 3 texts begin to merge. The image of the morning star from Isaiah, the cherub from Ezekiel, the watchers from Enoch, they merged. In the pride of a king, they saw the pride of an angel. In the fall of a watcher, the fall of the light bearer. The church fathers gave this a foundation. For Origen, the tragedy of free will, the highest creation abusing its gift. For others, the sin of pride, the desire to become equal to God. In Revelation 12, war in heaven, many see confirmation, but scholars note, this is symbol, not literal biography. 3 steps, 1,000 years, 1 myth. From 3 sources grew a figure that never existed. Lucifer was born as a theological construct, not because of anyone's malice or ignorance, but as a result of how living traditions read sacred texts. Theologians, translators, interpreters, they were not mistaken. They did what every age does. They sought answers to the questions of their time in ancient texts, and they found them. Now the main question, why does this image endure? Why does the story of an angel who wished to become God and was cast down trouble us millennia later? Because this is not a story about the devil. This is about us, about the limits of ambition, about knowledge that liberates or destroys, about the line between light and pride. Lucifer is a mirror in which we see the dark depths of our nature, the tragedy of freedom. Lucifer is not a character. This is a question that each age asks anew. How far can you go in pursuit of knowledge? When does freedom become pride? Where is the line between light and darkness within yourself? What do you see in this mirror? A rebel who dared to say no, or a warning about what happens when freedom becomes pride? Write in the comments, because this question is about each of us. And if you're interested in exploring other biblical images born at the intersection of text and human imagination, from Leviathan to the Whore of Babylon, subscribe to the channel. Many amazing stories lie ahead that have been forgotten. thank you for being with us. Until we meet again in the labyrinths of the past.